Y'all want to hear what really goes down on those court shows? Like Judge Judy, The People's Court, or the one I was on, The Judge Mathis Show. Stay tuned and I'll tell you what's real, what's not. Is it scripted? Was I an actor? My case started out when I moved out of a roommate situation, and the roommate, she kept my security deposit. Normally I would be okay with this, but she did it in a way that was like, it just felt like she was robbing me. And back when I was younger, I used to take things very personal. I filed in small claims court to sue her for that security deposit back. I left the place clean, nothing broken. I gave her sufficient warning before I moved out, and let's go to court. Before my court date hit, I get FedEx mail from the Judge Mathis Show saying that we are interested in your case. I guess what they do on these shows is they scour small claims courts in cities and reach out to those that might seem like they might be a little bit explosive, have some drama to it, have a little bit of personal touch, people that got their feelings involved, bring them on TV, have them make an ass out of themselves, and profit off of that. So they reached out to me and to the girl, Kristen, that I was suing. We both agreed to go on the show. And shortly thereafter, they flew us out to Chicago, Illinois. They treated us very well. Flew us out first class, had a limo to pick us up at the airport, had car service that night, was able to go out and see Chicago if we so chose to. A really nice touch, a good introduction. Then the next morning, they take us to the studio. Walk into the Judge Mathis building. They have the audience sitting there, and the first question of is it scripted was answered pretty quickly. They had the audience all sitting in rows watching a television with a production member playing clips of the Judge Mathis Show and telling the audience to cheer or to boo. And he's coaching them up to telling them to do it louder and more emphatically for effect. So that's already scripted. The audience is scripted. Who would have thunk? After that, they bring us to makeup. And while they're doing makeup, another production person comes up to us with an index card, a note card, for us to start putting down the best bullet points they want us to make on the show. So that's more of just a good production. They don't want contestants or defendants standing up there looking like they're SOS, like they're stuck on stupid, not knowing what to say. So you write down all of the points you're going to say to the judge on your note card, and then they take you to the courtroom. This thing is kind of run like an assembly line. You just got people standing there with note cards ready to go in. When it's your turn, you walk down the aisle to the podium. You set up. The cameraman comes and gets really close to you. So close that the first time I flinched. I was like, yo, back the fuck up, my guy. And then they refilmed me walking all the way down again. This time not freaking out when the camera's so close that I'm, putting fog onto it. I can sign my name if I wanted to. Right after that, Kristen comes out. She walks down, they do her intro. The judge comes out from his office and sits down. Bailiff swears everybody in, and the court case begins. Both myself and the defendant, Kristen, are now in front of the judge. He has come out of his chambers, and he's ready to hear our story. Now, when we first arrived at the Judge Mathis studio, we told our story to their producers in full. During the telling of the story, they would tell us, write that down on your index card. And everything they told us to write down was pretty much trash talk. They didn't care about semantics. They weren't worried about the true facts of the story. They kind of just were looking for a cat fight up there. I volleyed the first insult. I brought up the nail salon she ran out of the house, obviously stinking the house up with chemicals. This didn't really bother me much when I lived there, but they're looking for complaints, and I got a couple. The second was her drinking. I really threw her under the bus, unfortunately, at the time. And I brought up how she would drink. She was constantly sneaking drinks. She was one of those alcoholics that had bottles hidden around the house, which is odd because it was only the two of us living there. And I really didn't care. I had an addiction of my own. I think I was on Percocets at that time. Anyways, well, all I'm saying is that I was in no position to judge. The judge heard that out, and he asked the defendant, Kristen, do you have anything to say? And Kristen brought up a really good point, something that I'd like to apologize, Kristen, if you ever watch this video. She said that I would leave my beard shavings in the sink and around the counter area in the bathroom. And whereas I thought I had cleaned them up, it looks like I didn't do a thorough enough job. That is disgusting. I should be put on trial for that. After the beard shavings, I brought up that they also were very cruel to my girlfriend. Just some Mean Girls type stuff. Snide remarks as she went up the stairs or as she walked out of the room. They were always cackling. They made it known they didn't like her. And I had actually brought my girlfriend, let's call her Catherine. I brought Catherine as my witness, even though, trust me, she did not want to go on the Judge Mathis show, and you'll hear more about that later. Catherine had a really hard time talking to the judge. She didn't get the same training from production that we did, go over our lines over and over again. So when she was called up, she kind of froze up. The judge asked, hey, is everything that Jake said true? Which she did say yes. Then he asked for her own account of the situation, and she couldn't say anything. She was kind of stuttering up there. The judge pretty much called her a liar. And to which I responded, what difference does that make? You're not even a real judge. And then remember how the audience was trained. Oh, they did not like that. They booed me loudly. They booed me so loudly. It was fantastic. I didn't mind being a heel at all. And who the fuck is this judge to question the validity of our statements when it's like, dude, you're training me in the background. Like, you're not in on it? You're not in on it? Because we're all lying here. After my accusation that the judge is not a judge, he slyly put, that's not going to help your case very much. To which the audience stopped booing me and really started cracking up at his joke. It was a good one. Well played. Judge Mathis stands up, goes back to his room, and he's ready to work on his verdict. A few minutes later, he comes out, but even though I'm suing for like $1,000, he awards me like 84 bucks. There's not like an itemized list. He just pulled 84 bucks out of his ass. The court case is over. They lead Kristen out one door. They lead me and Catherine out the door that Judge Mathis was doing his deliberations in. In that room that he deliberates in, there's one desk and one chair, very, very empty. And they had us waiting in there for a second. So I did a little bit of snooping, going through Judge Mathis's desk. He had no pens, no paper, but he did have one magazine, a Playboy. I'm sure he was just reading it for the articles. Production comes in for the final time. They give me $500 in cash. They tell me that they're gonna mail me my $84 check. Whereas we were picked up from the airport in a limo. We were dropped off to the airport in a cab. Whereas they flew me and Kristen out separately to Chicago, they flew us home, not only on the same flight, but in the same row. I mean, once they were done with us, get out of here. A few months later, we got notification that the episode was going to air. Like I told you, Catherine did not want to be on the Judge Mathis show. When the episode aired, DVR was kind of a thing, but we were still using VCRs to record. I had the VCR all set up to record this monumental moment. You know, I finally got on television. I couldn't wait to show everybody, but that would have to wait a long time. While I was at work, Catherine went home and unplugged the VCR. She unplugged everything in the house, saying she was worried about a storm. She was only worried about that Judge Mathis episode. She did not want that thing to see the light of day, and I don't blame her. It was successful. There was not a copy of this show now. Then we ended up breaking up shortly thereafter, but not because of the Judge Mathis show. It's because we had a very toxic and very abusive relationship, which we will get into at a later time. Accountability Incorporated. I thought that the tape was lost. I tried contacting the Judge Mathis show. They never returned any of my phone calls. But I was in this chat forum, and somebody told me that they saw me on a commercial when they were watching the Ricky Lake show for an upcoming Judge Mathis episode. The episode did re-air. I did get my VHS copy. You wouldn't think that being on some sleazy talk show would mean anything to people. Everyone was marveled. We pulled that VHS tape out at some parties. All of a sudden, I was big man on campus. It's really fascinating psychologically how being on television can really affect how people think about you. Many people treated me with much more respect. It's not like I did anything positive or anything at all. I simply was on television and I got a ton of adoration for that.